One of the many staples of a Gerry Anderson show is a strong action hero at the front and centre of a series. You might easily think of Mike Mercury, Steve Zodiac or Scott Tracy as famous examples, all brave, heroic and charming in their own ways. Digging into Gerry's personal life and learning about the story of his older brother Lionel, it becomes easy to see what could have influenced the creation of these heroic characters.
Well, my brother, and I'm quite serious when I say this, he really should have lived and I should have been the one that was killed, because he was a very, very good-looking guy. Got on with the girls very well and vice versa. He was older than I, 7 years older than I, and of course when the war started he immediately volunteered for the Air Force. And because of the threat of bombing, he was sent to Arizona to learn to fly. Incidentally, when he was there, he used to write home and write about an airfield, an American airfield near to the one he was training at, called Thunderbirds field, and I remember the name Thunderbirds stuck in my mind, but that came in useful later on in my life. But he came back. He started to fly an aircraft called Defiance. This was like a Spitfire, but it had a cockpit behind the pilot with a gunner. And then he converted onto Mosquitoes, which at the time were the fastest aircraft in the world. And he used to go on missions over Holland, and his main task was to set up artificial radio beacons, A, to fool the German radar, and B, to guide the bombers home. And he did 30 operations, which at the time comprised a tour. And then he went on the second tour, and he was shot down over Holland, sadly. He was a hero, of course, and he fostered my interest in flying. I remember on one occasion he phoned from Heston and said, "Is it Gerry? I'm coming over in about 10 minutes. Keep a lookout for me." Well, I went into the garden, and this mosquito dived literally to 0 feet with a tremendous noise. And I remember feeling very proud at that time, but later when I went shopping, all the people in the shopping parade were saying, "Did you get the number of that aircraft? I mean, the bastard, he came down, terrified the life out of us.
He's diving.
Oh, being attacked!"
And I was afraid that he was going to be reported, but he wasn't. But the strange thing is that although he died very, very long time ago, I now feel closer to him today than I did when I was a child. And I guess that's because with the experience of life, I can imagine all sorts of ways that he might have died. And like I said earlier, I just feel that really he was more suited to go through this life than I was, and I would happily have swapped places with him.
In 1947, Gerry was conscripted for national service with the RAF, having earned a traineeship with the British Colonial Film Unit. It seems serving as part of air traffic control during his national service provided even more influences to later series.
On the first episode of Thunderbirds, this had a story where an aircraft couldn't lower its undercarriage, and it was obviously going to crash eventually, until international rescue came along, of course, and rescued it and the people aboard. But that was when I was in the RAF. I hasten to add, not defending my country. I was hauled in when I was conscripted. But I was stationed at Manston, and I remember one day a wing commander coming in to land in a Spitfire, and he came in with his wheels up. And as he approached the runway, the caravan at the end, the caravan controller fired a red very light, and this pilot immediately opened up the throttle, skimmed the runway and pulled up, avoiding a crash. But that stuck in my mind, and I think it was those sort of incidents that led me to my stories. I don't think it was anything psychologically due to my brother or his death.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.